Welcome back. I'm RJ Mamula. If you enjoy these topics of discussion, please like the videos, comment in the comments section, and subscribe to the channel. In the last video, we talked about the debates over whether ethics and morals are subjective or relative. Today, we're going to get into ethical objectivism. If ethics and morals are objective, meaning the beliefs about what's moral and ethical are either correct or incorrect, what is the right approach to determining those morals if the morals can be explained through logic and reasoning as opposed to just divine command? I am going to talk about the various different approaches that philosophers have taken to this question. The first one is ethical egoism. Now, to explain that, I will first explain the definition of psychological egoism. That is the belief that everything a person does is motivated by what is in their best interest, or at least what they perceive is in the individual's best interest. The notion of altruism is the belief that people should sacrifice personal interest for the greater good. So, ethical egoism is the belief that people should pursue their own interests because by pursuing their own interests, society or humanity at large will benefit from it. To give an example, somebody wants to be rich, so he invents a gadget that makes him rich. People buy it. From buying this new invention, people's lives are improved, jobs are created to make this new invention, and so it's a win-win. Now, some might say, well, that's not always true. For instance, stealing. Somebody is hurt by stealing. But an ethical objectivist would argue that while there is a victim and the victim is harmed, stealing is also not in the long run best interest of the perpetrator. So if the perpetrator were actually acting in his best interest, he wouldn't steal and everyone would benefit. Another approach is hedonism. And again, that has a psychological definition. It's the belief that everyone makes decisions based on what will either bring pleasure or avoid pain. And ethical hedonism believes that pleasure is the one and only thing of any value, so the decision, the action that brings about the greatest amount of pleasure to the individual and society at large is the right decision. Then there's the approach called utilitarianism. Utilitarianism says that the right thing to do is always whatever benefits the most amount of people to the greatest extent. And that governments and individuals should make decisions on that basis. Now, of the three approaches I just described to you, they could overlap. A utilitarian might also be an objective egoist, because they might say that pursuing one's own interest will benefit the greatest number of people to the greatest extent. Now, one question that has to be brought up is, does motive matter? In other words, is it moral to do the right thing if you're doing it with the wrong motives? If you're doing it for what's in it for you? Some would say no, it doesn't matter as long as the right thing's being done. The argument the other way is, if you're only doing it when there's a payoff, you're not likely to do the right thing when there is no payoff. Now, a question has to be asked in the opposite direction. Is it possible to do the wrong thing with the right motives? Or better put, because it could be possible to do the wrong thing with the right motives. If you mean well when you're doing the wrong thing, are you morally right or morally wrong? Morally right because your intentions were good, or morally wrong because your actions were wrong? So I've explained the different approaches to ethical objectivism. I would like to know your thoughts in the comments.